Good morning, everybody. I'd ask Ms. Leger to take the roll call, please.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. Deputy Warden Agar. Councillor Atkinson. Councillor Bushi. Councillor Bradley.
Online.
Councillor Broad. Councillor Case. Councillor Cook. Councillor Dennis. Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Grimes for Councillor Hand. Councillor Field for Councillor Loosely. Councillor McRoberts. Councillor Miller. Councillor Sageman. Councillor Veen. Councillor White. Warden Marriott. We have quorum.
We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Odawa, and Potawatomi peoples referred to collectively as the Anishinaabeg. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabeg with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. I'd ask any member of council to declare pecuniary interest now or where it may arise during the meeting. Councillor Bean.
When it comes to tourism,
Okay, thank you. Any others? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to go in camera for the reasons noted in the agenda. Councillor Dennis moves, seconded by Councillor Atkinson. All in favor? That's carried. We'll meet in committee room 3. Please join me for a moment of a silent reflection. Thank you. I would ask Ms. Leger to rise and report from in camera, please.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. I can report that Lambton County Council met in camera this morning for approximately 10 minutes to address a few matters. First being to review and approve the County Council closed session minutes dated November 27th, 2024. Secondly, Council received a report and provided instructions in relation to confidential information provided by Health Canada. Council also received a report and provided instructions related to a potential disposition of land located in the city of Sarnia. And then lastly, Council reviewed and approved the Committee of the Whole in closed session minutes from January 15th, 2025. That included receiving a report and providing instructions with respect to personnel matters.
Thank you. Item number 8, delegations. I'd look for a motion to allow the delegation presenters to come forward and present. Councillor Case moves, Councillor Bushy seconds. All in favor, please? That's carried. The first delegation is Sarah Rayum, the CEO of Community Futures Lambton, will be presenting to County Council regarding an update on organizing, programming, and announcement of a new county-wide initiative. Welcome, Sarah.
Warden Marriott and members of County Council, it's just such a pleasure and a privilege to be with you here today. I look around the room and see many faces that I've had the opportunity to meet with you in your municipality, and if not with you directly, then with members of your staff. I know you have a full agenda, and I thank you so much for providing time for me to speak with you this morning. We've got some wonderful news to share with you, and I'm so pleased to be here on behalf of our staff and board team to do so. Okay, not moving, Lisa. Side, down. Oh, do you just want me to click? Yep. Okay, very good. Because it's maybe been a minute since I've had an opportunity to get to your individual municipalities and speak with you, I thought I'd take a quick second to just remind you of who we are and what we do. Formerly the Sarnia Lambton Business Development Corporation, we rebranded in the spring of last year to be Community Futures Lambton. We've been working in Lambton County since 1988. We're in our 37th year now. And we're funded by FedDev, the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario. They provide us with operational funding and the original seed funding that allowed us to get organized and start serving the Lambton County communities back in 1988. We're one, as you can see on the presentation, of just over 260 similar agencies in Canada. And specifically, we're in place to support rural economic development. And in this context, rural is communities of under 100,000. So in terms of the services that we provide, there's 3 service streams. We provide funding of between $500,000 and $300,000 to new and existing businesses it could be for new startups, or it could be to support operational funding, cash flow, the purchase of new equipment, property, that sort of thing. So that is we've got a little bit of a higher risk tolerance than banks do. So it allows us to support small and medium-sized businesses with financing and push our money out into the community to support businesses in that way. The second stream of funding is through free of charge coaching and support services to businesses. That's everything from someone coming in our door wanting to spitball a new business idea to someone needing assistance with business planning or perhaps to pivot their business, an exit strategy if they've been in business for a long time. We work with other economic development partners within the Lambton County ecosystem to support businesses any way we can. The third service stream, and that's specifically what today is about, is to collaborate with those same economic development partners to support grassroots economic development across our community. And we do that in a lot of ways. We support youth entrepreneurship in partnership with Lambton College and with the YMCA. We support the Young Entrepreneurs Gathering every month through the Chamber of Commerce. And we're out in the community within community office hours and delivering workshops at the community level as well. So by the numbers, you can see on the board, since we've been in operation, we're just under 900 loans that we've written in the community, and we're coming up on $50 million that we've been able to push out in support of Lambton County businesses. That's realized in creating or maintaining more than 10,000 jobs. Currently, we've got $8 million out in the community in loans supporting businesses across Lambton County, and just over $5 million available to lend. And if we look at our numbers for this year, and our fiscal ends on the 31st of March, our in-depth, that means in-depth in our context means that, you know, we've got information, privileged information from clients, 491 consults supporting just about 170 businesses, and 15 loans approved so far this year. But with specific regard to the really cool news that I want to share with you, as I mentioned, we rebranded at the first of this year, and that coincided with the sale of our building at 109 Durand Street. It was the former Our Lady of Mercy public school, very institutional. Our boardroom was the principal's office, very different vibe to where we are now at 346 Christina Street North, a lovely old home circa 1877, and we're absolutely loving being there. But with the disposition of the Durand Street property, our board found itself with a surplus between what we sold one for and what we were able to purchase the other for. And we wanted, from a board strategy point of view, to find a way to protect that principle and utilize the interest on an annual basis to push funds out in the community, and to combine that interest, those interest funds, with our own operating budget to see what we could do. And it's through that initiative that we have Community Futures grants, and these are for community-based economic development. This year, we have $40,000 in grants available annually, and that's grants from $500 to $5,000. And the list on the screen, and certainly in your packages, gives you a sense of who these grants are available to and who can apply for them. But our intention is really wide open. Anything that impacts economic development at the grassroots level within Lambton County. That could be a street festival in Alvinston. It could be a tourism initiative. It could be a special event or a municipal anniversary. It could be a youth initiative. Really wide open with these grants for anything that is uplifting and empowers economic development at the community level. I think in terms of, as long as it's not a for-profit corporation or a business, this we're hoping will give service clubs and nonprofit organizations and etc., as in your package, an opportunity to access the seed funding that they might need that helps them launch initiatives. So from a time frame point of view, this will match up with our fiscal year. So this is for any project that is happening between the 1st of April of this year and March 31st of next year. And that will continue on in subsequent years in terms of the time frame for this happening. Our applications will open on the 1st of March and close on the 31st of March, and we'll announce the recipients of the grants by the 14th of April. So my presentation is short to you today. It's really to share this good news and to ask you through your municipal networks and your staff teams if you would help us to spread this news throughout your communities and encourage folks at your level to avail themselves of this funding. That's the formal part, as much as you could call this a formal part of the presentation. Ask me anything. I'd be delighted to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions from council? Seeing none, you're getting off easy.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. As I said, I know you have a full agenda, Warden Marriott, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second delegation is Tony Gioiosa on behalf of Melrose Community Group. Will be presenting to County Council regarding the overflow shelter at Laurel Lee Church. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you for the opportunity to appear in front of you today to speak about the Laurel Lee Out of the Cold Emergency Shelter on Exmouth Street in the city of Sarnia. My name is Tony Gioiosa, and I'm the owner of 2 commercial properties on Exmouth, both within a stone's throw of either side of the shelter. I've been personally attached to the community for over 50 years. Today with me is Brad Kuglin, who is a lifelong resident of the community, of which he and his wife live directly across from the shelter. For the last several months, we have worked jointly to represent the concerns of our community, backed by a mandate that was established through a petition signed last October. It was signed by 55 residents, business owners, property owners, and tenants, which calls for the community to be restored to what it was prior to the arrival of the shelter. A copy of that petition is before you in your package. Contact details were redacted for privacy reasons. We are here today to explain the reality of what we live in, what we work in, day out, with this past summer being by far the most unbearable period yet. Shortly, you will see pictures and a few videos that will give you a visual of the reality and will hopefully add context of what we are trying to say to you. Any identifiable information in those pictures has been blurred out and the video filtered for privacy reasons. Before I continue, I would just like to say thank you for the support we have received from the staff in preparing this package that is before you and their assistance with screening for the protection of privacy. Our path. In 2023, the Laurel Lee Out of the Cold temporary emergency shelter was open to provide overnight accommodation for those in need. Since the initial opening, subsequent announcements were made to say that program will continue with services expanded to provide wraparound services. We now have a facility that has firmly established itself into the community that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. By night, the facility accepts individuals for overnight accommodations, and by day, those individuals are released as different individuals access the wraparound services. Notice to the community that the facility was opening as a shelter and its subsequent expansions were limited at best. Even so, initially I can confirm the community was understanding of the need, knowing the arrangement was temporary, limited in terms of hours, and it was communicated by officials that the facility would not disrupt the community. To use an analogy, we are now in a situation where the community has reactionarily gave an inch with the best of intentions, and the shelter is extracted over a foot. This past summer, simply put, was unbearable. We experience and continue to experience open drug use, open defecation on property, on personal and private property, violent behaviors, threatening altercations, littering, abandoned grocery carts that recently have been lodged onto oncoming traffic on Exmouth, loitering on public and private property, and what the community is calling zombie-like individuals walking the streets just having completed a drug exchange. Growing complaints to the shelter fell on deaf ears. It was felt as if the strategy of staff was to appease us for the moment the best they could. It was disturbing to hear through the back channels that even though our complaints were being lodged, the county, the inn, and the church felt there were no issues. In frustration, our group formed and a petition mentioned earlier was created. A copy of that petition was forwarded to the manager for social services at Lambton County, the executive director for the Inn of the Good Shepherd, and to a representative of the Emmanuel Presbyterian Church, who is the property owner. We requested an open community meeting. We received a joint response back from the county and the inn outlining things they were attempting to do to improve the situation, but there was no invitation to meet. We subsequently forwarded our request to the CAO for Lambton County and the board chairs for the Inn of the Good Shepherd and the Presbyterian Church. Through some back and forth wrangling and our stance that all parties to the partnership that was formed to create the shelter need to be present, a meeting was agreed to. It took place mid-December. It was, and still is, important to us that all parties involved be accountable for what is taking place. As the meeting date approached, to our surprise, the Sarnia Police reached out to us and requested to be part of our meeting, as we previously shared a copy of the petition with them. We were told our issue caught the attention of the Chief of Police. At the meeting, we were able to express our frustrations with the county, the inn, and the church. The county and the inn defended the cause, citing inadequacy of past governments, the need for government support, and the additional need of housing. When the church was asked where they stood, they responded that they had no concerns with what was taking place. The Sarnia Police shared statistics, of which a full list was shared in your package. Most important to note that the period between January 1st, 2024 and December 11th, 2024, there were 901 calls for service directly related to the shelter, with 181 calls for service logged for the period between October 11th and December 11th. They reported a large amount of activity in our community, has labeled us as being a hotspot, with no other area in the city being anywhere near as active. To say the least, everyone, and I emphasize everyone, at that meeting was astonished by the numbers, and the county commented that calls for service have been placed from within the shelter itself. To say the least, we left the meeting feeling frustrated. The only commitment we received was that extra cameras would be installed outside the shelter and a security car would be parked in front of the facility that may act as a deterrent. There were no solutions or support provided to the community, and now we find ourselves before you to say the community is at its breaking point. We are mentally exhausted in dealing with the issues day in and day out, and we are frustrated. We can no longer deal with the shelter operation overflowing into the community and the disturbing effects on our lives. On a positive note, we do want to thank the Sarnia Police for being supportive of our community as we deal with the overflow issues created by the shelter. Shortly after the meeting, they agreed to provide extra sweeps of the neighborhood. We see you, we appreciate the support and guidance you have given us, and we appreciate you, even though our frustrations may get the better of us when we interact with you. What are our issues? And I've simply listed them 1 through 13 to keep this as organized as I can. Number 1, the facility is operating well beyond its original intent and has become more permanently rooted. There is open drug use. The shelter has evolved into a magnet that dealers use to prey upon individuals. The staff claim there is a zero tolerance policy in place at the shelter. Well, you know, it's happening on our properties, in front of our homes, and in front of our businesses. Calling 911 for a problem that has been enabled, that you have enabled, is not a solution. Damage to personal and private property. 4, safety for those in the community and in the shelter. 5, litter. Disposal of items that have been collected and dumped on your property, and used drug items. 6, grocery carts left abandoned on the property and throughout the community, and the recent activity of those carts being lodged into traffic is particularly disturbing. The inability or unwillingness of staff to effectively manage the shelter and the overflow effects of unwanted activity into the community. Addiction and rehabilitation should be a focus, and staff should not rely on the argument that housing is a solution. We believe the shelter is acting as an enabler to unwanted activity and not a solutions provider. Decline of the neighborhood in general and property values, fires, theft, the image left in the minds of those driving by as they witnessed loitering, police, fire rescue vehicles responding, and unnecessary behaviors taking place. Children and impressionable teens are learning behaviors we once deemed to be unacceptable as being acceptable, despite the brave efforts of their parents to teach them right from wrong. And finally, comments have been shared that if the property is not redeveloped, some form of a shelter will continue at the site. In conclusion, we cannot continue to absorb the repercussions and the overflows of having a shelter in our community. It's gone on too long and it's gone too far. Our once stable and harmonious community is now a hotspot of unwanted activity. The shelter is inappropriately placed and not sufficiently equipped to handle the needs of certain individuals. The facility is disruptive to the quiet enjoyment of a mature residential community and a deterrent to those visiting or operating local businesses. Regrettably, even though we've received assurances that the takeaways received from the December meeting would be implemented and monitored, we had to inform the county by the way of a demand over the Christmas break. The area again was once again full of activity. At the last moment here, we did receive an update from the Sarnia Police. So this is recent information, and I would like to also share this with you. And I'll read the exact email. We have had 118 calls, this is from the Sarnia Police. We have had 118 calls in the 50-meter radius, which is approximately 165 feet, surrounding the property since December 11th to yesterday. 31 of those calls have been for unwanted persons. 6 for trespass, 3 for ambulatory assist, 2 for assaults, 3 for attempted suicide or threat of suicide, 7 for warrant arrests, 3 for welfare checks. Other types of calls included sexual assaults, harassment, theft, mental health, disturbances, and weapons. The survey calls, more of them actually are at the church property, so there is no argument that these are neighborhood problems. If they are not actually the church and are at adjacent properties, when I read the occurrences, the cause of the occurrence can be tracked back to the overflow of the Overlea Church. Comparable neighborhoods for the same time frame and within a 50-meter radius of these intersections. So these are calls from neighborhood intersections. London Road, Cecil, 4 calls. Exmouth, Cotterberry, 0 calls. Exmouth and Elizabeth, 1 call. Indian and Germain, 0 calls. Wellington and Siddall, 3 calls. Confederation and Shepherd, 2 calls. Maxwell and Oxford, 20 calls. Although interesting, these calls seem to be the same flavor as the Lauralee and Overflow because we are getting closer to the area in question. So in direct comparison, we're dealing with 181 calls or 118 calls versus minimal calls in other areas of the city. Also attached is a heat map, which I can share if there is interest. And the parameters used for the heat call was the quality of life calls. And it went for the period of December 11th to the present. 2 areas in the city that produced red zones are the Lauralee Overflow and the Good Shepherd Lodge on Confederation. Interestingly, the public perception that Rainbow Park is the bigger problem area is not represented by these stats. In fact, these 2 facilities that cater to the homeless population appear to be creating the red zone. And the email was submitted by Staff Sergeant Ivan Skin, Criminal Investigation Division for the Sarnia Police. Prior to council meeting, we asked the community again how they wished for us to move forward. We received an updated petition signed by 32 residents and 23 business owners to continue our efforts. A copy of that petition has been shared with the City of Sarnia councilors and the mayor who sit on this council. With this, our group is calling on Lambton County to put forward a motion that instructs staff to develop a work plan for council's approval that outlines how services will be wound down at the shelter, that the shelter will be permanently closed in a 90-day period, and that no future shelters will be open in the community. The time has come for us to take our community back. The Melrose Community Group. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dennis.
Late last year, we in these very chambers, I spoke about this very topic. Again, all of us are kind-hearted people. We have sympathy for those down on their luck. Unfortunately, the people that are down on their luck, they should not affect good, decent, hardworking, everyday people, their neighborhoods. And what is being said now is exactly what I talked about last fall. And at the time, I threatened that if things didn't get better, that I would make a motion to close the shelter. Well, today I'm not threatening. I will make the motion that your community desires. So I hereby make the motion that the gentleman wishes to, or the community wishes to make.
Okay, motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder? Second call for a seconder. Would declare the motion fail. Oh, Councillor Bradley, do you second that? Sorry, you're muted, Councillor Bradley. I couldn't understand that.
I will have a question once we're done you've dealt with the motion or not dealt with it.
But you're not seconding the motion? Okay, so the motion fails. Go ahead, Councillor Bradley.
What I would like to know is, and I raised this issue first out at County Council quite time ago, and there's no question the severity of the impacts on people in that neighborhood. One has to just drive by or walk through the neighborhood. So my question is, and I did talk to you, Mr. Warden, and the CEO yesterday and Ms. Colasani, what is the exit strategy so this neighborhood can understand exactly when this facility will be shut down because it was meant to be a temporary facility?
Okay, Ms. Colasani, would you be able to answer that, please?
I think everyone is aware of the recent Heart Hub application that's been approved for Lambton County. So while we don't have a specific timeline, the plan is to move the Housing and Homeless Resource Center to the Heart Hub. And right now, the preferred location for that is the Canadian Mental Health Association building. They will be moving, and the Heart Hub would be opening there. So the Resource Center would move at some point, and I will bring a report back to Council when I have a more specific timeline on that. As for the overflow shelter, right now, it's almost at full capacity. We have 35 spaces there, and I certainly hear what the community is saying, and we'll continue to try to mitigate, what's happening in that neighborhood. But we do have 35 beds. They're almost full every night. We still have several encampments within the city of Sarnia. If we don't have beds available within a homeless shelter, we won't have anywhere for those individuals to go should they choose to leave the encampment or should something change within the city of Sarnia. So we really do need to keep that overflow open for some time. I can't give an exact date on that. I think some of that's going to depend on, when the encampments, people move from the encampments into shelter. I also think that with the approval of the Heart Hub and the additional transitional addiction beds, that we will be able to move a lot more individuals into housing. What happens now is individuals go through the withdrawal management program, they go to Ryan's Place for only 30 days, and then unfortunately that's not enough time for them to find housing, and sometimes they exit Ryan's Place into the shelter. And as you can imagine, it's challenging to, be in the shelter and not fall back into old habits or go back into where you were before. So we're really hopeful that with these additional services that will be starting as soon as April of this year, that we will be able to move more people to housing. We won't need the overflow shelter, but at this time I can't give a specific timeline.
Hey, if I could do a follow-up, Mr. Warden. I've sent countless emails out to County Council administration on this issue over the last year on Exmouth in that neighborhood. And quite honestly, we've been brushed off. So my question is more in this time period before the hub, which is a great announcement, and we know it can have huge impact. What else can the county do to upgrade all the services around there as it relates to security and control of the site? Because that to me is the immediate issue. What else can be done beyond what's coming to deal with the impacts on this neighborhood as it relates to security and ensuring people that are not impacting so negatively on this neighborhood?
Ms. Colasani, please.
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Bradley, I'd actually like to call on our Manager of Homeless Prevention, Ian Haney, to give just a quick update on what has been done over the last little while to make the location more secure and safe for the neighborhood.
Mr. Haney, please.
Thank you. Through you, Warden. So to give some context and information as to what the, in partnership with the Inn of the Good Shepherd, the county introduced in following our community meeting in mid-December, we had asked the Sarnia Police Services to conduct an additional crime prevention through environmental design assessment of the site, and they graciously offered this in mid-January. And on this site review, it's meant to identify additional opportunities to further enhance safety and security through environmental design interventions. So this assessment, as I said, was completed by Sarnia Police Services in mid-January, in addition to us having them complete this before we opened the site originally. And as with the original assessment, suggestions to this review are being adopted, and they include further enhancements to lighting, to security cameras, and restricting access, all again with the intention of preventing crime through environmental design. As was described by the delegation, we added the next day after our community meeting a third-party security service provider vehicle at the end of the church's driveway in order to increase security visibility on the property. And this is in addition to already doubling security guards so that there is always a guard external to the building, conducting frequent minimum regular tracked rounds of the property. As was also alluded to and suggested through Sarnia Police Services, we purchased additional security cameras that were quickly put up on site. And this tool further supports the multiple on-site guards to monitor the property. And as I said, it was a priority identified by Sarnia Police Services. We've communicated again to our human services and security providers, the various multidisciplinary teams that are on site, our zero tolerance for on-site illicit drug use. And all staff are empowered to immediately enforce standardized service restrictions for breaking this policy. And then, of course, detailed incident reports are created for continued follow-up in these cases by both in management and county management. And then we have limited access as well as a result of this meeting so that clients don't utilize the Melrose Street door. Instead, they use the dedicated parking street access. Reports from on-site staff and security, as well as our review of the camera security footage, demonstrates that this has greatly reduced traffic on this side of the building. And then in individual communication with the most proximal neighbor, the one who shares that property line, where we had erected a tall wooden privacy fence in opening this site, reflects his experience as well, that this has absolutely reduced traffic on that side of the building. And these increased measures were in response to that community meeting in mid-December, but they build on existing mitigation factors related to fencing, site maintenance, coordinated intake with the lodge, and then of course, solution-focused interventions with all of our various providers that operate on site.
Okay, I have Councillor Case and then Councillor Dennis.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden, through you. I guess the question that was asked by our guests today, they gave a timeline of 90 days. The request was to be able to get this moved within a 90-day period of time. I guess I'm interested to understand if that's achievable, and if it's not, I'd really like to be able to give the folks an idea of a timeline. We do have a new facility that obviously has been earmarked to be able to utilize this type of situation. So I guess my question is, the question was asked, 90 days, is it doable? And if not, what are we looking at? We got to give these folks some certainty as they go back home. Thank you.
Ms. Colathani, please.
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Case, 90 days is not doable. We will not be able to find housing for the 35 individuals who reside there. And there's a report in your package regarding the overflow shelter. And you'll see that we've had over 9,000 stays. It's not the same 35 individuals. It's a couple hundred individuals who are staying there. Since the inception of the resource center, over 200 individuals have been moved into permanent housing, but it takes time, and it takes time for us to even build the supportive housing. I mean, that's what we really need, is supportive housing. As much as addictions and mental health certainly are issues, the solution is housing. And as you know, we're working on that. We've got Maxwell Park Place coming pretty soon. Kathleen Build will be coming, but these will take time. The other part is the Canadian Mental Health Association will need to move, and there's some steps that have to happen there, again, even for that location. So realistically, I think we would be looking, the earliest would be, the end of 2025.
Follow up, Councillor Case.
Well, Mr. Warden, through you, I guess in following up, the folks have come to us today and they've explained the situation, the circumstances around it. We've heard it before. Our presenters gave us a really good look into what they've been dealing with for a long time. So I guess I wonder what other measures we can put in place to make living conditions better for these folks. I'm not going to sit here and state that I wouldn't want that to happen in my community, in my backyard either. So I guess I'm wondering what more we can do. I know our folks are working through the system and trying to work with the residents, but what more could we do? We've heard about what we've done, and maybe some of that's working a little bit better, but what can we do over and above that to perhaps help this situation until we can get this move to take place? I know that's a question I would want to know if I was one of the residents, so thank you.
Okay, Mr. Haney or Ms. Colasandi, who wants to try that?
Thank you. Thank you, through you, Ward Marriott. In our discussion in December, we offered, I believe, all of these interventions I just described that were within our control on the property that we offer service. And that's why we also sought expertise from Sarnia Police Services so that we can control what's within our capacity on site where we are. What I think is perhaps the challenge that we ran into in this discussion in December and expanding what we can possibly do to assist the community members is it's off of our property and it's on individual potential property as well, where we cannot send staff without direct invitation. This was also expressed by Sarnia Police Services. So we can certainly go back to Sarnia Police Services to ask if there are additional measures that we can do to prevent crime as it's described through environmental design measures. But thankfully, and just to build on previous comments, we have this wonderful news of the Heart Hub, which doesn't just offer an increase in capacity for the hub that is the resource center, but it creates that clear pathway from Ryan's House to long-term transitional recovery beds and into and inclusive of permanent supportive housing. So there's a clear pathway now and a clear, quote, exit strategy for the services that are offered on an emergency basis right now.
Councillor Dennis.
Apologies. I certainly appreciate Councillor Case's question. He's really been the first person to show some empathy for the neighbors. It seems like no one is showing any empathy for the neighbors, which is really quite shocking. They're the real victims here. You can imagine living in a neighborhood for years and years and years, a beautiful, well-kept, peaceful neighborhood, and then having that plop right in their neighborhood, and their whole quality of life is shot. And that's what really, really bothers me here is no one seems to give a darn about them and what they're going through. They only seem to care about a band of criminals, and that's what they are. And I respect my friend here that's giving solutions, but quite frankly, none of them are working. Again, these people are criminals. They don't belong in a shelter, they belong in a jail. And like, let's be real about the whole thing. These are dangerous people, dangerous dudes. They don't belong in a residential neighborhood, they belong behind bars. But like I say, the thing is we can talk, with flowery words and flowery language, but these people don't belong in a neighborhood with young children playing and seniors out for walks with their dogs, and we're missing the boat here. They think of these people that have bought their houses and lived in their neighborhoods all their lives, and banking on their house as their retirement vehicle. Their properties have probably been slashed by 15-20%. Market values, and no one cares because it doesn't affect them. They don't live in these neighborhoods, and a lot of you guys, these aren't your citizens. These people don't vote for you, so we're left with it's a Sarnia issue. Not one of you guys want this in your in your communities, because if they were in your communities, you guys would be the first people here demanding that they be closed down and kicked out of your communities. But it's in Sarnia. And the mayor can't kick me out of Lambton County Council because I can say what I want here. So I'm going to say it. This is not right. It is not right whatsoever. It never should have been in a residential neighborhood, and it really, really disturbs me. It really disturbs me that last couple meetings, county staff was thrown under the bus because we all know that the city of Sarnia staff knew about that was being located in Laurel Lee.
Dennis, we have to
Councillor, Ward Marriott, you and I both know that the city of Sarnia staff knew that this was being located in Laurel Lee, and that Councillor Bradley was trying to throw the staff here under the bus. That's not right.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McRoberts, please.
Thank you, through the chair. It is a Sarnia issue, but the bottom line is we're doing the best we can with the shelters, but perhaps maybe not being done in the right way. And we're still suffering as a community because if we don't have a shelter for these folks to go, they are now dispersing throughout our entire city, and the hotspots will be multiples in the dozens. So what can we do until we have a new spot for it to go? How can we help protect the community from the individuals that are floating around the outside? Security, they only have so much control. I was lucky enough to go on one of the police officers' shifts, and the first call we got was there was an individual trying to come into the shelter at 11 p.m. And when he didn't get allowed in, he punched one of the security guards in the head. And there was nothing that security guard could do. He was helpless. Perhaps hiring one of the Sarnia police officers through the service to be there, having a police car parked in front of that building and not a security car would have pressure on the folks that are hanging around that neighborhood. It's not going to help everybody in Sarnia, but it's certainly going to deter from your neighborhoods until we can get something in place. But again, little steps of finding these folks somewhere to go that is supportive housing, affordable housing, that is years away. So what are we doing to help Sarnia? Because the homelessness issue is a county issue and it is taking over all of our city. So we have to plan for 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years down the road. What we're doing is not fast enough or efficient enough to protect our city and its citizens. Thank you.
Okay, I think staff did lay out a timeline, and nothing's ever good enough, but at least the timeline we have now is better than it was even just a week ago. So first, Councillor Bradley, and then Councillor White. You're on mute, Councillor Bradley.
First of all, I'll ignore the rhetoric on the council floor there. I will deal with the issue itself. What can we do to accelerate? And it's not just, I keep on hearing, please, please, please. It is much more than that. And the people that are involved with this issue know that. So what can we do if Ms. Colasani is saying it's perhaps the end of 2025? What other interim steps could we take in the months ahead to dilute the concentration of people at that site? That to me is, let's find something positive to go forward out of this for the neighborhood and for the community. And I would point out this is happening in every city in Canada. And I will say, looking at other cities and counties, we've at least managed to focus it and try to get positive solutions. Being that hub, we beat out dozens of cities for that. But what can we do in that period of time, Ms. Colasani, as it relates to diluting the concentration of people in that place? Is that possible?
Ms. Colasani, please.
Through you, Warren, to Councillor Bradley. I'm not sure if it's possible, but we have taken some steps. Council may recall it's in your council committee package from the last meeting. We had applied for some additional dollars from the province, and we were successful at getting those dollars. And with some of those, we're going to add some additional beds to the Inn of the Good Shepherd. Miles Fanny is here with us today, and we're going to add, I believe, 10 beds, 5 permanent and 5 temporary. Is that a huge change? No, but that means we'll be able to have more people at the Inn of the Good Shepherd's Lodge, and we're going to add security there as well, and we're going to add additional staff there. We're also going to, one of the announcements I haven't shared with you about the Heart Hub is there was some dollars in there, and we just haven't seen the budget yet. We're not sure what it looks like, but to start supportive housing now within our existing housing stock, we would be able to turn over some of our units, and Inwell will be coming in and doing some of that work with us. So that'll be able to start fairly quickly. We also received, that was for 12 units, and I believe we received, we asked for 15 units in addition for Canadian Mental Health Association and county staff to do supportive housing. So some of that should be able to start right away. Again, we have not seen the budget yet. We've not seen final approval. So these are all things that were within the proposal. So we'll need to have confirmation, of course, from the Ministry of Health. But those are some of the things that we're looking at starting right away, so that when we do have the supportive housing ready, Inwell's already here, they already have their staff complement, we'll be able to move very quickly to get those supports in place. And I think just continuing to work with our partners to get referrals made, to get people moved from there so that there are fewer individuals that need to stay in the overflow, and there are fewer individuals that need to come into the resource center.
Councillor White and then Councillor McRoberts. And then I'm going to end the discussion.
Thank you, Ward Marriott. First off, I want to thank you. I drive by there almost every day and I see it. And I've expressed similar to my colleagues who've reached out and asked the questions about what's really happening around there. And I've done my best to illustrate, you know, to my best ability what I see simply as a passerby, you know. So thank you, and thank you for the video and the photos, and it's unfortunate that the unintended consequences can fall so sharply in such a concentrated way on such a few folks, as you've illustrated. And the police hotspots are incredibly potent when you take the time to digest those and understand what it means. What it partially means is that it's not spread throughout the community. The only thing I'll maybe differ with you on is that it's enabling. What it's done is it's concentrated it. Those folks would be dispersed throughout the community more so, and everybody else would be perhaps bearing some of that load along with you. But other than that, I do want to qualify the efforts that staff have put forward over the last several years. When I had the privilege of serving as deputy warden, I had the opportunity to sit at tables with ministry folks, to hear how passionately staff spoke, identifying the problems in communities in the neighborhoods such as yours, to the folks that can actually write the checks, can write the policy, can change the way that policing is done in a way, and change the services that are available, such as addictions and recovery and mental health services. And I think staff have done an admirable job. And over the last couple of years of building relationships along with Warden Marriott and senior staff, we've been able to foster incredibly important relationships such as that with Indwell, who at the start of this whole, you know, process less than 2 years ago had no interest in working with us here. Not because they didn't see a need, but because they were at max capacity. And it's because our staff and our political leadership worked collaboratively and progressed us in this county a lot faster than most counties in this province and in the country. So it'll never be fast enough, and I'm sorry for that. But I hope that whether it's 90 days or 365 days, neither is perfect. But I hope at least there's a little bit of understanding and comfort that things are moving very quickly. And Ward Marriott acknowledged in the Heart Hub announcement that those relationships with our partners at the province are strong through our delegations and through the meetings we've had over the years. And I believe that the current government, although it may change, understands who we are and what our needs are. And they're listening, so that when our staff do apply for funding to increase capacity or to start the builds on some of our new transitional housing, supportive housing, that those dollars will flow faster here than they will in some of the other communities who have the same needs. So I hope it's small comfort. Again, I hope we're able to do more for you right now, but there will be an end. It's just a matter of when we get there. And how much we can do to support you along that path as well. So thank you for being here.
Councillor McRoberts, please.
Thank you through the chair. I agree, it's never going to be fast enough. But I would like to make a motion that council directs staff to contact the Sarnia Police to find out what the costs would be. And because we want our neighbors to be a little settled with what we're doing as far as managing the violence, would 1 week be enough time to contact them, find out, and either through the evening, which I'm assuming most of the drama happens through the night, to have an officer hired for that service? Because, again, security we could have 20 security cars there, and the folks that are maybe causing the issues don't care about security. That's not going to deter them, but the police will. So could I have a seconder for that?
Okay, Councillor Dennis seconds. Further discussion? I'll have Ms. Leger read the motion.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. The motion I have is that council direct staff to contact Sarnia Police to inquire as to cost of hiring a Sarnia police officer to provide additional security at the overflow shelter and report back to council. Within the next committee of the whole, February 19th?
Yes.
Is that clear? All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Councillor Bradley.
Warden, I was going to propose an amendment. I would like to see some sort of relationship established between the neighborhood and directly with the county administration, besides the many letters we've sent there. And I don't know how you put that together, but there needs to be direct face-to-face discussion with the neighborhood so they can bring these issues forward on a daily basis. On the police issue, I think that can be handled without it coming back to county council. I think administration can find the money if they need to, because we just had a great deal of money given to us by the province. So I would like to propose that we engage the neighborhood so they directly are involved and be involved and engaged in what is happening and the exit plan for this particular shelter.
So did you have a motion there, Councillor Bradley?
It's the motion.
And do we have a seconder? Councillor McRoberts. And do we want to repeat the motion, please?
Thank you, Warden Marriott. So the amendment put forward by Councillor Bradley, seconded by Councillor Dennis, is that county staff engage the Melrose Community Group to be involved in communications and the exit strategy for the winding down the overflow shelter.
I believe it's a
separate motion.
Yeah, it's not an amendment now. We already voted on the motion. So it's a separate motion. You've heard the motion. Any discussion? And Councillor McRoberts seconded it. Any further discussion? Deputy Warden Agar, please.
Well, is there not communication already? Like, you're here communicating. So I don't understand what your motion is.
Councillor Bradley.
I can speak to it, Mr. Warden.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have sent countless letters out to and emails from this area over the last year and a half, and often there was not a response. In this case, County Council is saying, we want this dialogue, we want to work with this neighborhood who've just given some very graphic descriptions of why. So this would ensure this happens, not just sporadically as it has happened in the past.
Deputy Warden Agar.
Well, it's fine to accuse them not paying attention, but is that true? I don't know who would like to answer this one, but.
Ms. Colasani, do you have anything on that, please?
Through you, Warden and Councillor Agar. We have received numerous emails directly from the neighbors and from some different Sarnia councillors. And my understanding is that each one of those have been followed up with. We've either emailed back to the person with the concern or called them directly. Staff have spent hours and hours talking to the neighbors. So I actually do think all of the complaints were responded to at some time. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Bradley, one last.
I don't belabor this, but what about the request some time ago for a town hall meeting?
Yeah, I think we had one, but Ms. Colasani?
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Bradley. We didn't have a town hall meeting, but we did ask for representatives from the Melrose Group to meet with us, and that was the meeting that was referenced in December, where we had members from the church, the community, as well as executive director from the Inn of the Good Shepherd and the police, Sarnia Police. So we did meet with them. We did follow up with a letter of a number of things that we committed to do. and we have done those things. Is there more things that we can do? I'm not sure. We'll continue to look at those things, but we certainly did have that meeting in December.
Okay, Mr. Warden, I'll let the motion stand and I'll ask for a recorded vote.
Okay, we'll call the question now, and a recorded vote has been requested by Councillor Bradley. Seconded. Oh, you got a question. Go ahead, Councillor McRoberts.
So is Councillor Bradley asking for a committee or just two individuals that would collect the information and then have that relationship? I mean, we can't ask the county staff to have 50 neighbors always coming in all different stories, where if they work and they have organized a committee, we just want to be able to maybe get updates on, because they are the hotspot, maybe perhaps that would be the committee directly in contact, and then staff can come back and say, here's what the committee said, or we've heard nothing from the committee for a month.
Councillor Bradley.
The intent of the motion is Mr. Giozzi and Mr. Kuglin, who presented today, and whoever they wish to add, keep it simple and keep it direct. That's all this is about.
Had a question, Councillor Atkinson.
I did, Warden, but Councillor McRoberts actually said it, so I've got my answer.
Okay, I will call the question. Ms. Leger, please. Okay, yep, sure.
So the motion by Councillor Bradley, seconded by Councillor McRoberts, and a recorded vote requested by Councillor Bradley, is that county staff continue to engage the Melrose Community Group and to be involved in the exit strategy on the winding down of the overflow shelter.
I think that's good.
So we're starting with Councillor Boucher. I have a yes. Councillor Bradley?
Yes.
I have a yes. Councillor Broad? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Case? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Cook? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Dennis? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Ferguson? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Grimes for Councillor Hand? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Field for Councillor Loosely? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor McRoberts? I have a yes. Councillor Miller? I have a yes. Councillor Sageman? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Veen? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor White? I have a yes. Deputy Warden Agar? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Atkinson? Yes. I have a yes. And Warden Marriott? Yes. I have a yes. That passes.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. We'll move on to the next one. Attending today for Mark Perrin is Adam Veen from TSL, Tourism Sarnia-Lambton, will be speaking to County Council, providing an update regarding TSL's activities and plans. Welcome, Adam.
Good morning, Council. Thanks for having me here today. I'm representing Tourism Sarnia-Lambton. I am Adam Veen. I'm the Marketing Director of the organization. And I'm here today just to provide a 2024 overview of our organization and activities, as well as a quick snippet of the 2025 plans that we have going forward. First and foremost, I would like to speak about Tourism Sarnia-Lambton as an organization. We are the destination marketing and development organization that services Lambton County tourism assets to enhance economic growth and prosperity in the region. Our vision at Tourism Sarnia-Lambton is we are industry leaders supporting vital contribution to the tourism industry of the local economies. We use our expertise and encourage all levels of government to improve their tourism-related infrastructure. TSL encourages and facilitates leading-edge marketing and product development to enhance tourism industry and its partners. I'd like to do a quick little overview of the year here. Obviously, one of the biggest things that we want to encourage is visitors to our region. Happy to say that we've got some new data collection software and analytics that through partnerships that we have, and we were able to provide new and updated information on visitors. So over the 2024 year, we had 1.4 million Canadian visitor trips that ended up in Sarnia-Lambton, which is great news for us, obviously, moving forward. The USA visitor trips that we had over the last year, over 188,000 that came to the region. And on average, everyone was spending 2.2 nights. So obviously you see that there's some that are saying 2 nights, some that are 3, and it averages at 2.2. What I do want to mention though is that our data goes from January to September. We haven't got the year-end report yet, so obviously numbers can change and hopefully reflect that in a positive aspect, just as the first 3 quarters of our data has reflected. At our organization, I'd like to provide some digital analytics. Obviously, that is something that is near and dear to my role here. As far as visitor spend, what they want to do, what they're going to see, we have some great analytics programs that can provide what's the key interests in our area. It's been increasing over the last couple of years as far as our unique visitors, our total page views, our organic searches, which is really, the organic searches is something that provides data without putting any dollars behind anything. So that's people with general interest that want to come to our region. And as you can see from the data here, that we have our key features of beaches and waterfront, as well as some of the key events over the season that have really garnered some interest and brought people to the region to stay in Sarnia-Lambton. As well, we also have a secondary website through our local shopping program that encourages visitors to spend their money locally with all of the local businesses, and that has, as you can see, that we do have a lot of interest. It's always been an upkeep for our organization to encourage people to spend and keep their dollars within Lambton County when they're visiting, and there is some more data that I can provide for anybody that would like to know more about the gift certificate program. So for the 2024 season, our organization had major marketing initiatives. So the major marketing initiatives, they allow for a blend of traditional and digital marketing assets that can be used conjunctly to maximize the return of investment, reach, and visibility of each campaign. With the 2024 season, we really had a lot of reach on some major partners and through traditional media and through digital media. So as you can see, we've worked really hard on strengthening our visibility in the GTA region and surrounding Ontario regions, as well as starting to move back into a large, broader US market as well. With these campaigns, such as our travel and lifestyle, our print advertising partnership, we've done video partnerships as well that air not only on digital platforms, but also on traditional television, as well as we have done new digital marketing campaigns with these major corporations that allow a further reach. They obviously have that broader audience and really makes each dollar go a lot further on our end. With these major marketing partnerships that we have, also one of the major things that we are constantly working on at Tourism Sarnia-Lambton is asset acquisition. As we know, things change, businesses decide to open, some have unfortunately decided to close, and with that, we always want to create the best image of our region possible. And with partnerships, marketing acquisition from digital elements of photography, video, we've also snippets, sound snippets, audio recording, and creating unique marketing elements that we can push forward to the region, to Ontario, across Canada, and to the United States. So it's really been a labor of love with the market acquisition, and I really think that it showcases our region in the best possible form. I'd like to highlight just some of the GTA partnerships that we've had through the unique elements of it, these major marketing initiatives. The Horizon Travel advertising partnership that we've done, obviously it utilizes the GTA and traditional media on Yonge and Dundas Square, where we can provide visual assets, video on regular rotation, as well as through their distribution through media such as the Globe and Mail, National Post, Toronto Star, those elements like that. And really with that, we've had the digital videos over 200,000 impressions each time it's ran, and that's on a weekly and seasonal basis as well. With our major marketing initiatives as well, we've had unique partnerships with our regional tourism offices as well as some of our neighboring partners. So major marketing with our partners allow to tell our story in just a little different light. Obviously, you're influenced by your neighbors and what they can bring to the table as well. So the unique storytelling that we can do through our regional partners that we've done with the Global Hero advertising partnership has really paid off in the overnight stays from the major markets like the GTA, the Hamilton, Mississauga regions as well. And again, these platforms here are, we do digital, video, and print on all of these, which really allows the visibility to be continuous. So it's brand recognition, it's location recognition, and it's something that eventually it pays off really well as far as people getting to know the Sarnia Lambton name, new people to the country, new people to the area, and how we can bring them in. With the Canada Travel Advertising Partnership, again, we have digital platforms on the Gardiner Expressway, the 401. We've got digital magazines, print magazine advertisements as well. And the billboards there, again, they're around 160,000 impressions per campaign. We run 6 seasonal campaigns for that, as well as over 150,000 digital and print subscriptions for each campaign on that element. In addition to our major marketing partnerships, we've also worked with some of the local organizations that are building from that local element to that tourism element. And with Tourism Sarnia Lambton, we are trying to ensure that they're marketing to the broader region to bring people in to spend their dollars in here. While the local element is great and that's the foundation of it, how can we build this and how can we make each event a little bit larger and a little more impactful economically? We've also hosted major events over the last year that focus on our drink producers. With the Cheers Fest, we've brought in major festivals as well as sporting events, and that's really something that we try and push further into 2025. As for the amount of time here, I'm going to just jump over some of the domestic stats. Obviously, I've mentioned that Toronto, London, Brampton, Mississauga, Hamilton have been our major marketing partners, major visitors, as well as US. Like I said, we were doing short drive initiatives into the US, so Michigan was really our key focus. And as we move into Ohio for 2025 and 2026, we're hoping to see that increase as well as on our visitor data. On a positive note, in the region, Sarnia Lambton has seen we are one of the few with growth in overnight stays from our ORMA representation, which is really a commitment to knowing that these marketing initiatives have been impactful and have paid off over the 2025 season. As you can see, we're around 10%, 11 in some elements. And just as a final note, for our upcoming initiatives, Tourism Sarnia-Lambton is working diligently with our regional partners, federal partners. We're bidding on sports events to bring in, again, major elements, working with existing organizations to build up their events and their efforts in a tourism element, as well as working on improving wayfinding signage of our region and hopefully the overall appearance, attraction, and appeal to our region. So with that, and for the in regards to the time, I'll end the presentation there, and I want to thank everybody for their time today. And if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to our office, or you can ask me now.
Thank you, Adam, for that. Any questions? Councillor Atkinson.
Thank you, Warden Merritt. Through you to Mr. Veen. First of all, I want to say thank you for your major marketing initiatives, and I encourage you to keep moving forward and looking for new ones as you develop regularly on that. Secondly, do you reach out regularly to all of our municipalities that are represented here to sit down with them and talk to them if there's something going on in their area that maybe you can be involved with to help out, or we can work together with them to promote and to bring more people into our area?
Adam, please.
Thank you for that question. Yeah, that's something that I will diligently work with. I always encourage anybody that has a new idea to reach out directly towards us, and I'm happy to sit down with any municipal representatives at any time. If we want to schedule a meeting, our team is willing to work with you, and I think that's something that we're going to work diligently on in 2025 to visit each and every region from the point of the municipality and talk directly with them.
Follow up?
Thank you, Warden. Mr. Veen, I certainly look forward to talking to you. Thank you.
Councillor White, please.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. Thank you, Mr. Veen. And just to follow up to Councillor Atkinson's question, I think to funnel it down a little bit further, is there any proactive outreach to community neighborhood level events? As I can understand that for a lot of folks who are just trying to put stuff together, rally their networks, gather as many resources as possible, sometimes is an incredibly daunting experience for folks, and sometimes they just pull it off and have these wonderful events that sometimes turn into annual occurrences, yet it never occurs to them that maybe there's additional support out there. And I just wonder if there's an opportunity, or if you already do, to further what Councillor Atkinson was saying, go beyond the municipality and actually start to focus in on the neighborhood and do some outreach to some of these events that are publicly occurring, on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah, to answer your question, Councillor, in the past, it's more of been a direct reach out to our organization. With our planning for the 2025 season and with the direction of the board, I know that our organization is actually planning to do more of that, where we can bring stakeholders together that have created something or are planning to create something and discuss with us, understand where our levels are, where we can assist, where the tourism element of each event is, and we will be reaching out to them in the springtime to kind of encourage them to meet with us and build their organization and their events in the future.
Follow up?
Yeah, thank you. And if I, probably didn't need to say it, but just, that some of these folks who've done amazing work getting to the level that they have, probably, don't even realize the potential that they have when they could work with an incredible partner such as TSL. So anything that you can do to proactively engage with folks like that, I think you'd see the proliferation of some pretty incredible events throughout all of our communities. So thank you for that.
Okay, got Councillor Field and then Councillor Case.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I want to thank you for everything that you guys did for Petrolia during our 150. You did reach out. I know our Director of Marketing reached out to you guys, and there's a good partnership there, and you assisted through our 150 and supersizing some of our events. So I just want to thank you for that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Councillor Case.
Yes, through Mr. Warden to Adam Veen. Adam, you've done an incredible job in your role with the organization. We've always found you to be very easy to deal with. You've always reached out and helped anywhere you could, so I think you're underselling yourself personally a little bit. You're doing a great job. But one thing I want to say is we're now just past 2 years of our term here. And I have not seen the executive director at my particular council meeting, any of my particular council meetings. And since we do fund this organization in a very big way, I think it's very important. You did mention your plan was to get around. I really would like to see the executive director attend all the local councils and give an update to everybody that sits on that council this year. So, but anyways, again, thank you for all you do. If you could pass that message on, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Absolutely. I will bring that message back, and we'll work diligently and communicate with you and find a time that works best, not just for the municipality of Warwick, but every other municipality here at the county as well.
Okay, any other questions before we close this one? Seeing none, thank you, Adam, for your presentation. Our next delegation is Matthew Slotwinski, the CEO, and Adrian Lee, the board chair of the Sarnia-Lambton Economic Partnership, known as SLEP, will be speaking and providing an update regarding SLEP's activities and plans.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today on behalf of the Sarnia-Lambton Economic Partnership to provide an update on the activities of our organization and a look forward for the year ahead. Of course, we take great pride in being the lead economic development organization for Lambton County. Our mission remains to effectively service all 11 municipalities to advance economic growth and opportunity through leadership, collaboration, and strategic direction. And of course, our strategic direction as an organization is based around these 7 core pillars that you see here on the screen. And as I'm going to speak to each of these over the course of the presentation, I'm not going to dwell on this particular slide, but rather it can be a reference if necessary. The staff of the team is very dedicated, a truly professional staff of economic developers who seek to deliver on the primary functions of the organization to the community, and all of whom are driven to make meaningful, long-term, and sustainable impacts on the community. And we hope that everybody here is aware of who the staff is and how they can help directly within their core functions. And I should note that in addition to the core funding that is provided by the county, SLEP does leverage significant external funding and grants to escalate our services and delivery. In 2024, we received more than $321,000 in external funding to support projects linked to attraction of foreign direct investment, supporting entrepreneurship, and providing employment supports to newcomers and job seekers. And the core to our success as the Sarnia-Lambton Economic Partnership is, of course, in our name, partnership. Any of our successes in driving the competitiveness, growth, and success of the area involve working with a partner ecosystem that involves stakeholders working together through active participation and alignment on common goals to collectively identify, access, inspire, lead, and achieve economic prosperity for the area. Now, related to the brand and marketing pillar of the organization, last year we reestablished our monthly newsletter to ensure awareness of ongoing and upcoming activity and engagement in the community. We had been hearing that people often didn't know what is SLEP doing for us as a community, and we're seeking to change that. We also initiated a website redesign project that's in the final stages of development that will heighten our ability to service local businesses and workers, better serve prospective investors, and include a microsite dedicated to the Small Business Enterprise Center to support entrepreneurship. We also have plans to develop a series of videos highlighting the strategic advantages of Sarnia-Lambton and our core industrial sectors to drive foreign direct investment and other forms of investment to the community. Last year, we undertook many major efforts related to advocacy on key issues impacting Sarnia-Lambton. Many of the items, such as carbon tax reallocation, transportation, and Line 5, impact local business retention and expansion, while others, such as carbon sequestration, natural gas infrastructure, and investment land readiness, impact industry attraction. I'd like to highlight that efforts were successful in aiding the sourcing of $34 million to support a $45 million wastewater treatment facility expansion in St. Clair Township. That will go a long way to being able to accommodate new large-scale industrial development and housing projects in the community. The key focus for this year is on similar items, including hydrogen, infrastructure, and energy, although we're expecting that there's going to be a little bit of a need to advocate for issues arising from international relations associated with the United States as well. Our workforce efforts are proving to have a major positive impact on the community. Last year, we launched the IDEA Leadership Academy and Career Accelerator programs while continuing to function our Explore Talent Portal and the Apprenticeship Job Match tool. These were complemented by a heightened focus on advancing youth strategies and supporting opportunities in the skilled trades. So far, in 2025, we have already launched the Regional Economic Development through Immigration project associated with the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. This program has set aside 200 nominations for the OIMPS employer job offer stream for Sarnia-Lambton specifically, and the project enables the region to fill local labor supply shortages while providing a pathway to permanent residency for skilled foreign workers who have an active job offer who want to live and work in Sarnia-Lambton. A key note is that the program is only applicable for occupations within proven hard-to-fill roles in key industries, and that IRCC, rather than SLEP, ultimately has final approvals. Later this year, we do expect to introduce a newcomer support and entrepreneurship program that consists of several components to fill labor gaps, drive new residents, and advance business startups within Sarnia-Lambton. The key industrial sectors that we've focused investment attraction efforts on continue to represent a mixture of our historic areas of strength linked to economic shifts towards sustainability. Our established sectors such as chemicals and energy, sustainable chemistry, agriculture and food and manufacturing provide a solid foundation for growth, while our aggressive pursuit of emerging industrial sectors such as the EV supply chain, net zero technologies, and hydrogen will drive diversification potential. And the impacts of international politics are surely to impact some of the continued efforts related to some of these areas moving forward. With these in mind, SLEP economic development officers are actively working with 48 clients that are actively considering the Sarnia-Lambton area for defined projects for the future. Collectively, these represent about $3.5 billion in potential investment, including almost a dozen projects that would be larger than $100 million in scale should they come to fruition. This is also complemented by significant expansion potential, which I'll speak to later. Last year, we had 18 companies conduct site visits in the community representing what could have been up to 2,800 jobs and $7.2 billion in investment. Now, of course, many of these have already cited elsewhere, and I think it's worth noting that most of these companies are looking for market-ready greenfield sites, which is a contributing factor as to why some of them didn't locate in Sarnia-Lambton. New opportunity continues to be linked to our integrated energy and chemistry clusters in both historic and emerging sectors. While the EV supply chain represented a significant volume of leads last year, although we expect that to slow in 2025. Most notably though, 79% of investment leads required heavy industrial land. And I think it's worth noting that there's no publicly owned heavy industrial land in Lambton County at this time. Looking towards 2025, Sarnia-Lambton will be very visible. We have a variety of industrial trade shows and speaking opportunities that are already scheduled to be on, where we're scheduled to be on the docket, and we'll be delivering projects to familiarize both government officials and non-local industrial realtors and developers with the area so that we can spur investment opportunity and drive new leads. This is supplemented by membership in the Ontario Food Cluster and the Ontario Manufacturing Communities Alliance, as well as our local industry cluster groups. And just as local partnerships are key, we continue to rely on close collaboration with provincial, federal, and international government and industry partners. New to 2025 is that membership in the Ontario Manufacturing Communities Alliance that will help drive investment to consider the Sarnia-Lambton area. And while new companies are often the shining star that we're aiming to bring to the area, the expansion of existing businesses is key to economic growth as well. SLEP has supported several local manufacturing facilities and significant expansion projects that we expect to be announced and completed in 2025. So keep your ear to the wall on those particular initiatives. But beyond that, we've worked extensively with Cabot, for example, that has initiated a project at their Sarnia facility representing an overall potential investment of $350 million. This multi-phase project would see the implementation of advanced desulfurization technology with the potential to implement innovative hydrogen and CO2 capture technologies. So we are seeing reinvestment in the community, and that is fantastic news. To support businesses of all sizes, we continue our business retention and expansion outreach program to businesses to identify challenges and opportunities and either seek to alleviate those challenges or to pursue those opportunities, make them a reality. We also completed programming across Lambton County to support local business growth, including continued linkages to the Sarnia-Lambton Industrial Alliance. These programs should grow in 2025 with increased collaboration with municipal-level economic development officers and teams, and a heightened focus on seeing local industry access incentive programs. This is my most important topic today. Last year, we advocated heavily for the need for industrial land that is suitable for industrial development, that is truly investment ready. This will continue to be a major focus for 2025 as we seek to engage with municipalities, utilities, and private landowners to educate and advise on opportunities to bring land to heightened market readiness and the need for proactive investment in development land and related infrastructure. We lose investment because we often aren't on par with competing jurisdictions. We need to be proactive in readiness to drive capital investment and job creation. And separate from that, I did want to note on the innovation market readiness side, we will continue to prioritize driving new leads to existing business parks in the area, both public and private, and the Western Sarnia-Lambton Research Park. And lastly, our entrepreneurship efforts related to the Small Business Enterprise Center are noteworthy. The SBEC successfully had 12 companies through the Starter Company Plus program access more than $56,000 in grants, which resulted in 6 new bricks and mortar locations. As well, we had 5 students through the Summer Company program and continued collaboration with the Foodpreneur program. The office conducted more than 400 consultations with new and existing businesses, which is a 125% increase from last year. And this was complemented by more than 50 seminars and workshops, including the highly successful 8-week business planning course, which took place multiple times throughout the year. In 2025, we have existing plans for more than 70 seminars and workshops, and we'll again offer the Starter Company and Summer Company programs. The Summer Company program, we just made an announcement that we're actively accepting applications, so we hope some youth across all communities will enter that program. I'll close off there. Certainly happy to answer any questions that may exist.
Thank you for that, Matthew. Questions for Councillor McRoberts and then Councillor White. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. For your presentation. You mentioned a couple of times about our lack of readiness for our properties. Is it possible for you to create some stats to come back to us with the folks that you have reached out to and potential businesses, what their top 5 requests would have been as we could entice them to come here for our infrastructure, whatever they require for those lands, and approximately how much money we would have potentially gained from them coming to our business because we are not prepared. Thank you.
Most certainly. We can pull together a collection of statistics to look at what it was that was ultimately leading to the deficiencies in market readiness for the sites that would have helped to drive investment to the area, whether that's associated with utility needs, whether that's associated with the process to have land in a more investment-ready state, as well in terms of driving, understanding the actual costs of some of that. We do have some of that information at this point in time and can certainly collect it for distribution.
Councillor White.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. Thank you, Mr. Slotwinski. First off, I want to say how happy I am that you're the CEO of SLEP. You do a fantastic job, and you're the right person for the job, and I just want to wish you well this coming year and the years to follow. Continue to be bold, continue to think outside the box, and I know we'll be successful. So my first question was somewhat asked by Councillor McRoberts, but just to fine-tune that a little bit, are you basically suggesting that one of our municipalities, if not the county, purchase a property so that it is ready for development, a greenfield site of sorts? Is that ultimately what you were indicating, that we were behind other jurisdictions by not having one of those sites ready?
I think it's a multi-tiered answer here. Certainly, when you own a property, it provides you the most leverage for truly making it investment ready, for deciding how proactive you'll be in pursuing certain types of investment to the area, and how you'll ultimately deal in driving that investment. Now, with that said, actually owning the land isn't the only opportunity that could be pursued. There may be ways of leveraging option agreements with private landowners, or alternatively, the community is setting aside agreements to proactively invest in bringing the infrastructure to privately owned lands. What we're finding is that privately owned industrial land, especially those that are heavy industrial, the landowners aren't being proactive in driving the infrastructure to the property that would truly bring out the opportunity that exists. And that may mean that the municipality ultimately has to put some investment into it. When you don't have control of the land, it's hard to justify in many cases bringing the infrastructure to that land. So in some ways I am suggesting that there would be significant advantages to publicly owned heavy industrial land, which doesn't exist at this point in time.
Follow up, Councillor White.
Thank you. And just a second question, so thank you for that response. And the second question, I think it's maybe top of most folks' minds right now, is the potential for a trade war with our closest ally, the United States. Is that having any impact on your current workload? And are you making any plans to perhaps mitigate the concerns that would arise from such an action?
Sure thing. Thank you for asking that question. The reality is international relations right now are creating an awful lot of uncertainty for absolutely everybody. Existing businesses that function in the area, those who are looking at investing in the area, and of course offices like ours that are trying to determine how do we deal with what's moving forward. As it relates to businesses that currently operate within Sarnia-Lambton, we have an open invitation, of course, to interact with any of the core industry groups. We do have a business retention expansion survey, which was just released yesterday via our newsletter, that we will be proactive in trying to get into the hands of businesses across Lambton County. Our goal is to interact with several hundred businesses, and one of the questions associated with it is the impacts of these international relations that are ongoing. The reality is we don't know what's going to happen in as little as 30 days from now, and how that's going to impact certain businesses. So it's difficult in being completely proactive when we don't know what we're being proactive towards. But of course, it is top of mind, incredibly important. On the other side of things, on the investment attraction side, something like the EV market. We know right now that various investments aren't going to happen or be pursued as a result of the uncertainty with United States and Canadian relations and politics. As recently as this week, we saw a major investment lead that had come as far as doing site visits in the area suggest that that project is on long-term hold at this point in time until there is some level of certainty. There was a major project that was investigating St. Clair Township last year where the word was, it is St. Clair Township or it is nowhere in the world. And ultimately, because of political uncertainty at that time, before the election had even taken place, it was decided that it was too uncertain for the project to ultimately move forward. So we have lost projects. We have projects that are no longer moving through the pipeline as a result of this. And I think that's something where we'll see some instability for a little while at this point in time.
Councillor Dennis.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. Matthew, I love your enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is what makes a great salesperson. Matthew, Lambton County has the highest unemployment rate in Southern Ontario. Our union halls are full, and they're chock full of people like with skilled trades. So a lot of them question your strategy to bring in skilled trades from other countries. They really do. As a matter of fact, many of them are a little upset about that strategy. Can you maybe follow up on that?
Most certainly, and I'm glad that you asked the question because it allows me to provide a little bit of clarity. I spoke earlier in the presentation about the READY project through the Ontario Immigration Nominee Program. Well, there is specific note of skilled trades that could fill identified labor gaps within the community. It should be noted that skilled trades doesn't necessarily always mean the welders or the electricians or the boiler makers or the pipe fitters that are currently seeking employment in the area. In fact, there's more than 300 defined skilled trades, many of which will be very applicable to this program. What is critical for any individual who is applying for the program is that they have an active job offer, that the business that is providing that job offer is able to demonstrate that they aren't able to fill that job with local labor. And additionally, to alleviate any concern there as well, the offer that is in place has to be at a higher wage rate than the average for that particular type of job, so as to alleviate any concern about, let's say, trying to offer lower wages to fill positions. What we have seen as part of this specific program to this point is we've been approached by dozens of local employers already who are actually trying to not only bring new people to the area, but retain those who are not yet permanent residents, who they have found to be critical to their business, where they wouldn't be able to fill it otherwise. But beyond that, we do have programming that is available for those who are currently unemployed. We recognize that unemployment is an issue and that people need jobs to be able to survive in the community. That's why we continue programming associated with the Apprenticeship Network program for those who might be seeking apprenticeship opportunities. We're going through the process of modifying the Explore Talent Portal, which was initially created to support newcomers to the area so that it's applicable to anyone looking for a position within Sarnia-Lambton. But additionally, our resources involve that whole ecosystem that I showed earlier, where we encourage those who might be having a hard time finding jobs to reach out to our office so we can help in identifying pathways, be it through our organization or others in the community, that can provide assistance to them in seeking meaningful employment.
Strathroy just announced a few days ago a $25 million expansion. What are they doing right, and what are we doing wrong? Like, what can we do to not be the highest unemployment rate in Southern Ontario? Like, what in your expert opinion, what are we doing wrong? Like, like, obviously, like, it's diversification. Like, are we just difficult to deal with? Like, what are we doing wrong? And whatever it is, we got to change it and change it fast. Because I'll tell you this much: if we don't, we're gonna spend more and more money on shelters and affordable housing and that sort of thing. The best way to lift people out of poverty is to provide them with gainful employment. Thank you.
And thank you very much for that question as well. This really comes back to the point of market-ready investment land. And there is a need in the community for us to invest in the short term for the long-term gain that comes from that employment or from that investment. Ultimately, when you bring up something like unemployment and the impacts on the community, the services that are necessary to deal with that don't bring money back into the community. Investment in industrial parks and business parks, that does bring money back into the community. And Strathroy is a wonderful example. They have their Molnar Industrial Park. They have been going through a phased approach where they strategically invest in the infrastructure and land readiness of that industrial park. And as it gets filled, they proactively invest. And it gets filled and they proactively invest. And that's something we've seen in competing communities, including the Bloomfield Industrial Park in Chatham-Kent. The Innovation Park in London, where there is a little bit of pain in terms of the proactive investment in those assets, but the long-term gain is currently being seen. And that's something that I think there's an opportunity across Sarnia-Lambton and all municipalities for us to take the risk to seek the opportunity.
Any other questions before we close it off? Oh, Councillor Bradley, couldn't see your hand for a second there.
See, I apologize. It's one of the challenges of Zoom. To Mr. Slawinski, there's a couple of things you jumped over. We have 2 large packages of industrial land ready to go in the Chemical Valley. And I heard you make no mention of that. And there's a number of projects that have been worked on that site. And you're familiar with them, the soybean one in particular. The second thing is the city does have business parks, which we're actively marketing at this time. And the third thing is the expansion in Strathroy was an existing operation. And I think you know well, too, that almost 60-70% of any growth in industrial commercial development comes from existing industries. So my question to you, what are you doing with that? We had a major program 20 years ago to reach out to existing businesses to see how they could be facilitated to expand.
Thank you very much. So to answer directly the question at the end there, that's where our business retention expansion program is absolutely a critical pillar of the organization. So our goal over the course of the year is to have direct and long-term interaction with more than 200 businesses, prioritizing in the order of manufacturing, agriculture and food, advanced professional services, and so on down. But additionally, with even heightened interaction with the large employers. And so that's going to include everything from the major chemical and petrochemical operations, the energy assets in the area, as well as those who provide services into those assets. So the SLEA companies, for example. You're right. Expansion opportunity represents the biggest opportunity for job growth and investment into a community. I highlighted the Cabot example earlier in the presentation. We're going to see significant money, we're going to see significant job gain, we're going to see significant construction as a result of that. And we've worked with companies like Cabot to help make that project a reality, and that's something we seek to do with all companies across Lambton County, should there be the opportunity and open engagement from them. If I may address the note on the brownfield industrial sites, specifically, I believe you're referencing the Blue Water Energy Park and the Bioindustrial Park Sarnia. They continue to be tremendous assets for the Sarnia-Lambton area in terms of investment readiness. They are certainly the closest. In terms of the availability of the assets within them. But what does need to be noted is that Arlenxio isn't a land developer. They are a chemical company that happens to have land. While it is a priority for a company like them to sell land and divest themselves of the asset within it, it's not front of desk. The same would be the case for the Blue Water Energy Park. They're an energy company. Their goal is to produce energy. It is not top of desk to fill the Blue Water Energy Park. And of course, that does have impacts in many cases in being able to sell those properties and bring investment to the Sarnia-Lambton area. With that said, we do very much value what those assets bring to the area, the opportunities that we currently are trying to land within those industrial parks, and we'll continue to try and do so.
Okay, in the interest of time, thank you so much, Matthew, for attending and that great presentation, and we'll see you again. Thank you. That moves us to item number 9, minutes of council. We have 2 sets of minutes there. I'd look for a motion to adopt. Councillor Ferguson and Councillor Cook seconds. All in favor? That's carried. Item number 10, the annual general meeting of the County of Lambton Community Development Corporation. Councillor Bradley, I know you normally pass the annual meeting chair to me. I'll ask if that's your preference again.
And I will do so. I just want to make one note that as the county council knows, we've had a couple of difficult years because of COVID and loss of tenants. And thanks to the board and the county staff, we have, and Catherine Ablin in particular, they adopted a turnaround plan and it's working. So you're going to hear that right now. So Mr. Warden, I give it back to you.
Okay, motion for me as chair. Councillor Case and Councillor Dennis, all in favor? That's carried. And just to introduce the members present, other than myself, Councillor Bradley and Councillor Agar is with online is Tom Streifler, who is a director, as well as David Muir. And I look for a motion for approval of the agenda. Councillor Atkinson and Councillor White, all in favor? That's carried. And I'd look for any declarations of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, brings us to presentation of the financial statements. And I'll turn that over to Mr. Pilarchio, please.
Thank you. Through the warden, in your packages, I'm happy to provide and present the CLC-DC financial statements as audited by BDO. These statements are prepared by our county staff, and they include statements such as the statement of financial position, statement of operations, statement of change in net financial debt, and statement of cash flows. Just some key points. The statements were given a clean bill of health, unqualified audit opinion, which basically means they were presented fairly. Another thing I wanted to point out as well is these statements are as of April 30th, 2024. It's almost 10 months from today's date, so there's a timing. There's definitely a timing lag between when the statements have been prepared for and our upcoming budget deliberations coming in 2025. Happy to answer any questions pertaining to the financial and analytical components of these statements.
Any questions for Mr. Pilarchio? Councillor Cook, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you to Treasurer. Just a couple of items on the financials. Just maybe could we get a breakdown of what the repairs and maintenance are? They come in around $1 million every year, and I'm just not sure whether that's from the park itself or whether they're doing renovations for the customers or clients that are there. And secondly, on the corporate expenditures that are around $500 to $600 million, or 5,000, pardon me, every year. If you have those available, or you could bring them to a different meeting.
Mr. Pilarchio, please, or Dr. Albion.
Yeah, thank you for your question. In terms of the repairs and maintenance, that are the general maintenance and repair costs of the research park. That does not include any tenant incentive costs for any of the companies at the park. That's strictly the repairs and maintenance of our facilities. And in terms of the corporate expenditures, this includes the salary costs of staff, the audit fees and the consulting fees, as well as the bank charges. Those are the most significant costs in that category.
Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Warden. I'd just like to clarify something too, though. I think there's an ask coming for more money. The last term of council, how much did we forgive in that one loan? Because that's got to be considered too, how much has been going downhill for a number of years. And is there going to be an end game if it doesn't get turned around?
Okay, Dr. Albion or Mr. Pilarchio?
Through the warden, just to provide a really brief overview of the financial challenges that are happening at the CLCDC, the park, and roughly speaking, and this has been a challenge in a lot of research parks, we're not alone. The revenues that the park has been looking at is approximately about $2.4 million, but the expenses are about $4.4 million. So there's a $2 million shortfall. As part of your county budget, we approved approximately a $650,000 base grant to fill in that $2 million gap. We also, I believe it was in April of 2024, also provided a one-time grant of approximately $1.35 million, and we paid that over a couple installments in 2024. So the total shortfall in 2024 was approximately $2 million. Leading into the 2025 budget, those financial challenges still exist. The shortfall, my understanding, it will not be as high, is not anticipated to be as high, but it is still a shortfall, and there's a turnaround plan that the agencies, the partner organizations looking at in order to get away from that shortfall.
So I have Councillor Veen next. Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you. Thank you, Warden. I don't know who wants to answer this question.
Just
but,
Councillor Ferguson wants a follow-up before that.
Oh,
sorry about that.
Yes, I didn't get the answer what amount was in the last term of council we forgave in the loan. And then potentially, if it can't show steadiness in this, will there be an end game on shutting it down or repurposing the buildings for something else?
Dr. Albion, please.
Yeah, so at this time, based on our current leasing trends and our financial model, we do anticipate that we will be reaching break even again in 2026. And at that point, we will be generating surplus revenue. In terms of some of the other loans that we have, our long-term loan comes due for renewal again later this year. So we will be looking at all options for remortgaging that to obtain the best terms possible moving forward. And then we would be looking, as well as other options through our current recovery plan and strategic planning exercises to generate alternative revenue streams in addition to our real estate revenues to ensure that we have financial surpluses that we're generating on a regular basis.
One more follow-up, Councillor Ferguson.
This will be my last one directly. What was the amount that we forgave in the last term of council?
Mr. Pilarchio, please, if you can answer that.
For clarity, we provided a $650,000 base grant, and we provided a one-time $1.35 million grant in 2024 to fund the shortfall.
Councillor Ferguson.
I'm not clear. 2018 to 2022, that term of council, the grant that we forgave, the loan we forgave.
Mr. Pilarchio, please.
For clarity, there was a four-year loan, four-year grant that was provided annually to the CLCDC of approximately $600,000 a year.
Councillor Ferguson.
Did we not write down a loan at that time of around $5 million? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Mr. Pelarkio, please.
Through you, the warden, I believe you may be referring to debt that was on the County of Lambton's books, and we transferred over to the CLCDC books. So there's approximately about a $14 million balance, a mortgage balance that still exists, and you'll see that in the county's financial statement. So it's just basically shifting the mortgage loan from one set of books to another set of books, but on a consolidated book basis, it's still the same loan.
Okay, I think Councillor Veen, you were next.
Thank you, Warden. I just want to know, is there a plan in place, and what is the plan to turn things around to make this profitable again? I realize the economy and everything is affected it, but I kind of would like to know if there's a plan to get out of it.
Dr. Albion?
Thank you for your question. So we continue to work with our consultants, Keywin Consulting, to implement the recovery plan that was developed for us about 10 months ago. So we've been having success with that plan, and we continue to implement its recommendations. When we approached council last May, we anticipated that we needed a runway of approximately 18 to 36 months. And again, based on recent leasing trends, financial models, we are anticipating that we'll reach our break-even point in 2026. So that would put us very early into that time range of that initially estimated period. So at that point, we will be returning to financial sustainability, and we would be looked to generating surpluses again to sustain our operations financially. And in addition, we are currently developing a new strategic plan as well, so that will help us to attract and retain additional tenants to help us further our growth at the park and to ensure prosperity of the park into the future.
Councillor Broad.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. My question, you keep bringing up this 2026 of being financially stable. Is that without any county grants?
Thank you. That would be without the additional request. That includes the budgeted request from the last 4 years, including the approximately $600,000 that Larry had mentioned, included as base funding, but we wouldn't be requesting supplemental funds above that in 2026.
Follow up, Councillor Rudd.
So is it fair to assume that even if we get to 100% capacity, that that facility will never be financially able to handle it on its own then?
Thank you. No, our break-even point is in the 90%, closer to 90%. So when we obtain higher occupancy percentages, we would be financially sustainable without the county support. And again, with additional revenue streams that we're considering, that would increase our sustainability.
Follow up, Councillor Broad.
Thank you, Warden. So in my calculations, you've stated that you had a 15% increase from May 2024 in occupancy to the end of 2024, and yet the request coming for 2025 is still $2 million. So you had a 15% increase in occupancy, and yet you're still asking for the same amount of money in 2025 as you did in 2024. Something to there isn't just making sense to me. Sorry.
Thank you. So with the requested amount, we have considered effects of inflation on that model, as well as the potential increase in interest rates due to our our mortgage coming due for renewal later this year. And at that time that the model was developed and the budget was created, we were anticipating higher interest rates than we were potentially considering at this time. Also included in our current financial predictions and the occupancy increase is a short-term lease, so that doesn't have the same impact on our financial real estate revenue as a full one-year lease would.
Okay, if there's no other questions, the next item on the agenda goes right into the update from Dr. Albion. Sorry, before I do that, look for a motion to accept the financials that were given. Councillor Bean and Councillor White seconds, all in favor. That's carried. Dr. Albion, please.
Good morning, Warden Marriott and members of Lambton County Council. It is my pleasure to be here with you this morning to share the Research Parks update with you. This morning I will provide you with an overview of the early results of our recovery plan actions, our research and commercialization activities, and the next steps of our Elevating Success plans and our 2024 successes as we continue to deliver on our mandate of supporting economic growth, innovation, employment, and wealth creation for Lambton County. The County of Lambton Community Development Corporation was incorporated as a joint initiative of the City of Sarnia, the County of Lambton, and Western University in 2003. And we're affiliated with Western through the Western Research Parks. Together, the 3 Western Research Park campuses support the growth and sustainability of businesses across southwestern Ontario. The research parks have a history of success and international recognitions based on our support of our research and commercialization tenants, our tenants' economic impacts on the region, and their success rates once they graduate from the park. Our current occupancy is 72%. In 2023 and 2024, we had about 80,000 square feet of office space returned to us, which significantly decreased our occupancy rate. Since May of last year, we have leased over 40,000 square feet of space, which increased our occupancy by more than 15%. And as noted, we do have some short-term leases currently, but we do receive inquiries from new companies, and we're working with new organizations on leases for space at the park. Since the park's establishment, we have relied heavily on the lease of our office suites to sustain our operations. And the return of these large office suites in recent years resulted in a significant decrease to our real estate revenue stream. With the new tenants at the park, we are on our path to financial sustainability, and we are grateful to County Council for its support. In 2023 and 2024, we saw a decrease in revenue due to the large amounts of office space returned to the park, which has resulted in our current revenue gap. The grants that were provided by Lambton Council have been applied to the line of credit to reduce the bank fees payable, and the line of credit is used to cover the shortfall of revenue over expenses. As mentioned, based on the current leasing trends in our financial model, we anticipate that we will reach financial sustainability in 2026 when we reach our break-even point. The Sarnia-Lambton Research Park was established as a technology-based economic development tool, and we successfully deliver on the mandate given to us by Lambton County Council. Throughout the pandemic, our research and innovation tenants grew at the park, and we continue to graduate companies into our local communities. Although our occupancy has decreased in recent years, we have companies, a higher number of companies located at the park currently, and these companies are well aligned with our innovation ecosystem. These are a sampling of some of the current or recently graduated research companies at the park and examples of some of their projects. Our research labs provide a home to research projects and ideas that are under development to support local clients or develop the emerging economic sectors. We are speaking with new companies who have recently expressed interest in our space for chemistry and battery research, as well as air quality monitoring. Our pilot plant space is an open space for researchers to develop their ideas at the stage between the lab bench and industrial production. And again, these are examples of some of our current or recent graduates and their projects that were conducted at the park. We continue to speak with new companies for our pilot plant space, where some current examples are the production of egg products, the development of a new water treatment process, and the demonstration of a new manufacturing process by an international company. We continue to implement our recovery plan to drive economic growth and be an impactful community asset. Since our update to council in September, we've leased over 42,000 square feet of space at the park, and we've also launched our new marketing campaign. So through this campaign, we have had more than 2 million impressions of our ads, which has resulted in over 20,000 new visitors to our website, greatly increasing the awareness of our park across North. The new tenants at the park are well aligned with our innovation ecosystem, as mentioned, and have plans for growth at the park in the upcoming years. We have engaged Stiletto Consulting to develop a new strategic plan for us, which is focused on tenant attraction and retention. Stiletto specializes in research parks and communities and innovation, and their work has grown and developed community and innovation hubs across North America. A working session with council is planned following the February 19th council committee meeting, and Stiletto at that point will provide you on an update of their progress and obtain councilor input into the developing strategy. We are generating positive results, and this table here shows some of our achievements over the past year, from attracting new companies and entities to the park, of our existing tenants growing within the park, and the creation of new technology-based jobs. Here we have some of the metrics from our 2024 strategic plan, and we're very proud of our tenants' growth and successes at the park, which again are resulting in job creation and new innovations that will result in the future prosperity of Lambton County. The park and our tenants are creating local, national, and international impacts. We continue to support technology-based companies in our emerging economic sectors, and our tenants are diversifying and creating new opportunities in Sarnia-Lambton. Since our establishment, we've achieved extraordinary levels of success, and our tenants, clients, and projects have made a lasting contribution to Sarnia-Lambton, where the park has helped to lead the growth of new sectors, innovation, wealth creation, and employment for this region. We have a strong record of success, and we continue to fulfill the park's mission and vision of supporting economic growth and development. I would like to thank Council for its continued support in granting us the runway needed to implement our recovery plan to return us to financial sustainability. And I look forward to our upcoming session with Stiletto in 2 weeks and receiving your ideas on how to shape the park's future. Thank you.
Any further questions for Dr. Albion? Councillor White, please.
Thank you, Ward Marriott. Thank you, Dr. Albion. More of a comment, really, and a thanks to the board, as well as yourself. The insight I've had the privilege to receive over the last 2 years as a member of the board is incredibly valuable, especially during such a difficult time, and I got to see firsthand how creative you are, along with the board, how dedicated the board is to ensuring the long-term viability of this park. and the incredible difficult decisions that have been made in order to get us this far. It's truly appreciated. So having that inside view has been very eye-opening for me. So my thanks and appreciation to not only yourself, but every one of the directors on the board.
Councillor Case.
Thank you, Warden Marriott, to the doctor. When I look at our current situation in the world today, the word risk comes up all the time. We're not really sure what may happen. We've managed to put the tariff situation on hold for another 20-some days. But just knowing that there's a different individual in the White House in Washington and is doing business in a different way, I just wonder how that may affect us trying to attract some of these U.S. companies to invest in communities such as ours. And I just wonder if the board has taken a look at that. I know it's from a strategic standpoint to how that may affect our organization moving to the future. I'd be interested in your comments.
Thank you, Councillor Case. And again, as was noted earlier in one of the presentations, we don't know what the future holds in terms of potential tariff impacts on the CLCDC, but in some initial discussions within the last week or so, we think there may be some opportunities that lie ahead for us if these tariffs do come in effect. But even if they don't, there may be potential opportunities for us, especially domestically. So we know that Canada will need to become more independent in terms of our international relationships, which would result in more investment and support of manufacturing and R&D within Canada. So these are our specific areas of strength. So this could lead us to attracting additional companies to our research park to continue to develop ideas for supporting commercial production.
Follow-up, Councillor Case.
Thank you very much for the answer. I think we're all just trying to figure this out as we go. When it comes to the branding and using Western University along with our research park, I understand that they probably are going through some of the same challenges there in London with theirs. I'm wondering if there's still value in having Western University connected to our research park. It's not that I don't respect that organization, I really do. We go way back to when this whole thing was formed back in 2003, 2004, and they obviously brought value. But now that they have their own struggles and challenges of their own in London, I just wonder how much value they would bring to our research park for the fee that we actually pay them for utilizing the name. So that's just a question I have.
Thank you, Councillor Case. And again, there is tremendous value in the Western name for our research park. There is a lot of synergies within the Western University itself beyond the research park. So the research parks itself are complementary. We've got the strengths in the industrial aspects of it, the manufacturing, green chemistry, and the applied research applications, whereas the campuses in London have a strong focus on medical and health sciences and the life sciences sector. So there's challenges across the entire range of research scopes here. So their challenges are different from our challenges in some aspects. But there's a lot of synergies that we have at Western beyond the Western research parks, largely within the engineering faculty ourselves, where a lot of our areas of expertise are well aligned with the research pillars within Western engineering. And just to touch on some of the work that Stiletto is completing for us currently, they are undergoing a number of interviews with the stakeholders that we have at Western and looking on how to strengthen these relationships and create more value for all the parties involved.
Okay. In the essence of time again, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. Thank you for that, Dr. Albion. The confirmation of officers and directors. The first motion I would look for is to confirm the directors would be Councillor Bradley, he's the chair, Rob Cardis, vice chair, myself, director, Deputy Warden Agar as a director, David Muir as director, Tom Streifler, director, Miriam Carpretz, director, and Allison Ewert, director. So I look for a motion. Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Dennis. All in favor of that? That's carried. And the second that we look for For the positions of officers, it would be Mr. Stefan Tifo and Mr. Larry Pilarchio as treasurer. So look for that. Councillor Case and Councillor Dennis seconds. All in favor? That's carried. And that brings us to number 8, appointment of auditors. So, so the motion is that we appoint BDO Canada LLP of Sarnia to be as auditors to the County of Lambton Community Development Corporation for 2025. Councillor Miller and Councillor McRoberts seconds. All in favor? That's carried. Any other business under number 9 for this annual meeting? Seeing none, look for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Bean and Councillor Cook, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you. I don't know, I was going to see if we wanted a short break. I know some people have taken a break. Do you want to keep going or have another 5 minute? Okay, let's take 5 minutes, but it's tight. Otherwise, staff is going to have to find us dinner. This brings us to item 11 on the agenda, the Board of Health. Dr. Duick, please. So we have 3 correspondence to receive and file. Councillor Broad moves. Councillor Sageman seconds. All in favor? That's carried. And item B, Board of Health information reports. There's 2 reports here. I'd look for a motion for both of those. Councillor Miller and Councillor Grimes seconds. All in favor? That's carried. Any other business for Board of Health? Seeing none, thank you, Dr. Duick. Brings us to correspondence. We have 3 items there to receive and file. Councillor McRoberts moves, and Councillor...
No, sorry, I would like to speak to C separately.
You'd like to speak, okay. So we'll pull... Do we have a motion to receive and file A and B? Councillor Ferguson and Councillor Cook, all in favor? That's carried. Councillor McRoberts on C.
Thank you through the chair. I understand that Heather Martin requested to speak, and I understand that we have spoken to this subject before, but we have a person with decades of experience. Why would we turn down any type of knowledge to help us going forward with this subject? So I would like to make a motion to allow her to speak today.
So I'll have to ask our clerk the rules for that.
Through the warden to Councillor McRoberts, thank you for the question. The county's procedural bylaw lays out the process in dealing with when a delegate requests to speak to a matter that's been previously adopted or previously considered by council. Council did previously adopt or authorize this project to move forward at the October 2nd meeting. And so a motion to reconsider is required to bring forward and to be adopted. And then when that matter is dealt with at a subsequent meeting, the rules specify that the delegate requesting to speak to the matter could then speak to the matter at that time.
Sorry, follow up. When is that? When are we going back to change that? What date was that?
I think we have to have a motion today passed by majority, and then it comes at the next council meeting.
If we could do that.
So
thank you.
You're Councillor Bradley. You're making the motion, Councillor McRoberts?
Yes, please.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Bradley, and go ahead.
No, we can't speak to it. I'm just going to ask that we reconsider, record the vote to allow the speaker, and then waive the rules of order. I believe that's in order, so the speaker could speak today.
And in order to suspend those rules, we would need 2/3.
Yes.
Okay. So the motion on the floor is other than that, though, right? Is reconsideration. So we'll deal with that motion first.
Yes, please.
Any questions? Councillor Broad.
We have under long-term care, there's an information report on that for the consideration request. Should we not wait till we get to that under 13A, Section A?
Right, so it is definitely relevant to this discussion, and it is in your package, so we'll still have to have a vote on the motion on the floor, and hopefully council is considering that report. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we did have a seconder. Councillor Bradley seconded it. Oh, that's correct. In order to reconsider, you have to be on the prevailing side of the first motion, meaning that you voted for it. Yeah, just confirming that you were, Councillor McRoberts? Okay. So the motion would repeat it back, Ms. Leger, please.
Yes, thank you, Warden Marriott. So the motion moved by Councillor McRoberts, seconded by Councillor Bradley with a recorded vote requested by Councillor Bradley, is that County Council reconsider its position from October 2nd, 2024 regarding the small house financial estimate update.
And the random selector has picked Councillor Field.
Councillor Field, I have a no. Councillor McRoberts? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Miller? No. I have a no. Councillor Sageman? No. I have a no. Councillor Veen? No. I have a no. Councillor White? Yes. I have a yes. Deputy Warden Agar? No. I have a no. Councillor Atkinson? No. I have a no. Councillor Bouchy? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Bradley?
Yes.
I have a yes. Councillor Broad?
No.
I have a no. Councillor Case?
No.
I have a no. Councillor Cook?
No.
I have a no. Councillor Dennis?
No.
I have a no. Councillor Ferguson?
No.
I have a no. Councillor Grimes?
Yes.
I have a yes. Warden Marriott? I have a no. That motion is defeated.
So look for a motion to receive and file C. Councillor Broad and Councillor Cook, all in favor? That's carried. B, correspondence from member municipalities. We have a letter from Amy Burkhart, City Clerk, City of Sarnia, regarding hours of operations at the County of Lambton shelters. And there are 2 recommendations there. So I look for a motion for the recommendations. Councillor Bradley, is that a motion?
I think, Mr. Warden and County Council, the first motion is redundant. That's within the city, and the city's been dealing with that. The second one, which I have raised there before, is it seems to me that one of the problems is with the shelters, they shut from a period of time to a period of time in the daytime, and often people are pushed out in the street in not the best circumstances. So we're just asking that there be a review of the hours of service at the shelters to see if there could be more flex time. So we're not pushing people out at 8 o'clock in the morning for 12 hours, since we only have one small group nightlight that takes care of people in the daytime. That's the point behind it, just asking for that to be reviewed.
I'd ask Ms. Colasani or Mr. Haney like to comment on that, please.
Certainly. Through you, Warden, to Councillor Bradley. The County of Lambton doesn't set the shelter hours. I think everyone's aware the shelters are run typically by nonprofits. In this case, it would be the Inn of the Good Shepherd, and they have their own boards that set the operating hours. Despite that, the Laura Lee Overflow Shelter, as we heard, is open almost 24/7. The shelter itself shuts down, but the Housing and Homeless Resource Center remains open during the hours that it shut down. So presently, there is 24 hours every day in Sarnia, but we certainly encourage people to leave the shelter. And with the chair's permission, I'd like to call on Miles Fanny to speak to the shelter hours.
Mr. Miles Fanny, please.
Thank you, Warden. Yes, the inn operates the Overflow and the Good Shepherd's Lodge on Confederation. We're the shelters in town that accept and have no barriers for folks coming into shelter. Our hours are generally aligned with a lot of different shelter operations in terms of access to services and being able to be in-house. We actually, our clients staying at the lodge are there until noon. The hours out of shelter are roughly from noon to roughly about 6 o'clock, so that they're in the morning, they're doing their hygiene, having breakfast. Typically, as I said, a lot of shelters will have hours where they're closed, and that's to allow the staff to have time to do cleaning, laundry, changing out beds for clients that are discharged, meal preparation, and preparing case notes. So we're not staffed to be able to have the volume of staff we would need if 35 residents were in shelter during those hours. But also those hours are important for people to be able to have the opportunity to be out in the community. We provide bus tickets so that they have appointments to get to, be it medical appointments, maybe with John Howard, maybe with courts, with OWODSP. So those hours that are there for folks to be able to access those. The meal is provided at the inn so they can go to the inn and have lunch. On weekends, they would have supper instead. And it's also, I would say, good for people's mental health to have that time out of the shelter. The shelter is a very closed-in environment, and being able to interact with other individuals, do exchanges is good from a mental health perspective as well. And then, of course, now with the hub operating, the homelessness hub at Laura Lee, folks can go there as well to be out of the weather if they choose. We do suspend the hours out, though if somebody is ill, of course, they're kept in the shelter, or in extreme weather cases, then folks are allowed to stay in shelter as well.
Thank you. Councillor Bradley, follow up?
All I'm asking, that came from Sarnia City Council as an official request. If you could respond back with the detail that Mr. Vanny has provided.
Okay. So I look for a motion, I guess, yeah, we'll receive and file the original. Councillor Broad moves and Councillor Cook seconds. All in favor? That's carried. And moving on to information reports, there's 2 here. There's no questions. Move to receive and file these as well. Councillor Miller and Councillor Case, all in favor? That's carried. Item 14, items not requiring a motion. There's 5 items there. Look for a motion to receive and file those. Councillor Sageman and seconded by Councillor Boucher. All in favor? That's carried. Item 15, reports requiring a motion. 2 reports with EMS. Councillor White moves to approve and go to budget. Councillor Broad seconds. All in favor? It's carried. Item number 16, Committee of the Whole. Minutes. First motion was under Infrastructure and Development Services, correspondence. Second motion was also under Infrastructure as an information report with the Public Works. And item number 3, or motion number 3, was correspondence from EMS. Motion number 4 was the information report on the year-end EMS operational update. And under Cultural Services Division, motion number 5 was correspondence. Motion number 6 was Lambton County Council direct staff to collaborate lower tier municipalities to address the library service planning. And motion 7 was a report regarding museums, gallery, and archives. And under long-term care division, motion 8 was correspondence received and filed. Motion number 9 was information reports as well. And under corporate services division, Motion number 10 was regarding 2025 services and fees schedule. And motion 11 was report dated January regarding the County of Lambton elected official remuneration. And motion 12 was report regarding council attendance at conferences, conventions, and seminars. Motion 13 was under social services, correspondence from member municipalities. 14 was information reports. And 15 was correspondence to receive and file under the office of the CAO. 16, 17, and 18 were in camera. And 19 was adjournment. Motion to receive and file, Councillor Broad, Councillor Case, all in favor? That's carried. Yeah, Councillor Dennis. It was noticed in the, that was noticed in the last meeting, Councillor Dennis. Okay, duly noted. Item number 17, there are no items tabled from previous meetings. Number 18 is notice of motion. Councillor White, would you like to speak on this one?
Sure, I'm just asking for County Council's grace. I failed to acknowledge with my colleague McRoberts, Councillor McRoberts, that I was seeking to return to the Community Safety and Wellbeing table. So as I outlined in the email, I spoke to my colleague, Councillor Sageman, and as far as I know, he continues to be agreeable to the swap. So if everything is okay with County Council, I'd like to resume my work with that committee. Thank you.
Okay, we have a mover by Councillor Case and second by Councillor Ferguson to approve that. All in favor? That's carried. And other business. Is there any other business? Councillor Case, please.
Yes, Mr. Warden, through you to perhaps our finance division. When it comes to procurement, and being that we just went through a situation here with the threat of tariffs of 25% on our country from the United States, I just wonder if we've ever taken a look at what we buy, where we buy it from. I think it's very important that a government body like ourselves leads by example and tries to buy as much Canadian content as possible. So I guess maybe what I'll ask for, Mr. Warden, if I can get a second, or I'll make a motion that we ask county staff to go back and to bring forward a report to us on maybe a way of making sure we buy as much Canadian product as possible in lieu of this situation. I'm like most people, I hope that this is perhaps done. I really don't think it is. But I think it would be important for us to really try to support Canadian-made products here at the County of Lambton, if I have a seconder.
Okay, Councillor McRoberts seconds. Discussion. Councillor White.
I just thanks to Councillor Case for raising that. I think it's an excellent idea. There were certainly other items that we could have looked at as well, and I was fully prepared to even discuss the conference fees again. I think most of my colleagues in my conversations would acknowledge that they're inadequate for today's economy. However, to Councillor Case's point, by leading by example here, I think it's important that we maintain the status quo even in that, and again, do a deep dive into where else we can continue to support local and support Canadian first. So thank you.
Okay, any other discussion before I call the question? All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? That's unanimous. Any other business? Seeing none, we'll move into notice of bylaws. Mr. Leger, please.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. It is moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Sageman, that bylaws 3, 4, and 5 of 2025, as circulated, be taken as read a first and second time.
All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried.
It is moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Sageman, that bylaws 3, 4, and 5 of 2025 as circulated be taken as read a third and final time.
All in favor? That's carried. Look for a motion for adjournment. Councillor Atkinson, Councillor Field, all in favor? That's carried. Please join me with "O Canada."
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand